Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. We'll be discussing the topic Livestock Management Part B, a continuation of Part A. In the previous lesson, we looked at the meaning of livestock management, which is the rearing of animals and birds in a farm. And this entails the provision of an enabling environment or conditions such as adequate housing, health care, feeding, hygiene, to mention a few, in all phases of growth or production so that the animal can perform well. So in this lesson, we will be discussing about rabbit, cattle, and goat husbandry. In the previous, we discussed about poultry and pigs. But in this lesson, we'll be focusing on rabbit, cattle, and goat husbandry. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to state the meaning of livestock management and also highlight the requirement for livestock management and also discuss meaning terms used, breeds, and equipment of the following: rabbits, cattle, and goats. But we've explained previously what livestock management was, which has to do with providing adequate care to our farm animals in order for them to thrive well, which we mentioned in our previous lesson. So we'll continue now with the husbandry of rabbits. Now, rabbits are just like pigs. They are monogastric animals, which are also non-ruminant animals. They're medium in size. They are hopping mammals with long legs, long ears, and short tail. They're usually reared for their meat. We're going to take a look at some terminologies in rabbits. We have buck, which is an adult male rabbit. The doe is an adult female rabbit. The kitten or warren is a young or baby rabbit. The hutch is a house for rabbits. So if you want to rear rabbits, you need to have a hutch, which is the house for rabbits. Then kidding is the act of parturition in rabbits. Kindling, please. We have kidding is for goats, while kindling is for rabbits. So kindling is the act of parturition in rabbits. That kindling is Kindling. Pelt is the skin of rabbits. Litter, these are young rabbits produced at the same time by one doe. Remember, the doe is a female. Sucking, these are sucklings. That's the feeding, of young ones on the mother's breast milk. So sucking is a terminology which refers to the feeding of young ones on the mother's breast milk. Dam is the mother of a set of young rabbits. So the doe is a female rabbit, but a dam is referred to as the mother of a set of young rabbits. The sir is the father of a set of young rabbits. Now let's take a look at the breeds of rabbits. We have the New Zealand Red. We'll look at the description and so that you can be able, or you should be able to identify it whenever you see it. So it's bright red in color and weighs over 3 kilograms. It has high growth and feed conversion characteristics. That means the ratio at which it converts its feed is very high. So when you feed it, you actually get good value quality meat based on the feed that it consumes. That means it has a very good feed conversion ratio. New Zealand White is another breed of rabbit. Now it's usually white in color with a clear pink eyes and is medium sized and weighs about 3 to 5 kg when mature. Now this breed is very common and is widely used for meat production. California White. Now this also has a white body. The nose and the feet, as you can see, and the tail, that's the nose, feet, and tail, are black in color. Now it's a popular breed for meat production. This breed is not very prolific. That means it doesn't give birth to too many young ones. So it just has an average litter size of 3. But other breeds produce more than this breed. Flemish Giant. Now, this is a breed of rabbit that is usually very large. It has a very large weight, up to 6 kilograms. Now, it's raised in most parts of the tropics for meat purposes, and it has different colors. It varies from black to light gray to white, from black to light gray to white. But what we have here is gray, a grayish color. Now, Chinchilla is another breed of rabbit. Now, it is white. Sorry, it's white, yes, with black chocolate gray spots. You can see white, black, chocolate gray spots. The spine spots extends from the base of the ear to the end of the tail. Now, it's usually kept for meat purposes, true, as well. The English Spot Giant is a medium-sized breed and weighs about 4.1 to 5.4 kilograms at maturity. Now, it has a mottled bluish gray or black color and has a characteristic fold that's just below here in the skin of the neck called the dewlap. Now, this dewlap is also located in cattle. So, but this rabbit also has a little fold and the skin of the neck, which is called the dewlap, when in a resting position. Now, it's kept mainly for fur production, so it's used for manufacturing winter coats and jackets. That's the fur gotten from this breed of rabbit. We have Champagne d'Argent, which is kept for meat and skin purposes as well. Silver in color with sprinkles of black hairs on the surface. You can see silver in color with sprinkles of black hairs on the surface, and they have a mature weight of about 5 kilograms. Angora. Now, this is the only rabbit that is red for its wool. You can see how it looks, the wool on the fur on the body. Now, it has tufts of wool on its ears and feet. The wool is straight, clean, and measures about 5 to 8 centimeters. That's the length of the wool. So this breed is called Angora. California White is a lighter breed, and the adults may attain a weight of about 3.5 kilograms to 4.5 kilograms, and is characterized by black markings on the ears, the feet, the tail, and the nose. It has a very high growth rate and good flesh to bone ratio. Flemish Giant, okay, I've mentioned that earlier, so let's move to other breeds. We have the Loop, we have the Crosses, the Bavarian, the Blue Bavarian, Dutch, English Spot Giant, the Checkered, Harlequin, and Ruby Red. So these are various breeds of rabbits. Now let's take a look at some common diseases of rabbits. We have coccidiosis, which is a protozoa disease that affects the GIT, that's the gastrointestinal tract of rabbits. This disease is also common in poultry birds. Now, this disease has some symptoms, and what are the symptoms? You observe passing out of soft feces with blood-stained feces, stool. So, the soft feces usually have blood stains on it. And there will also be loss of appetite, loss of weight, and in severe cases, the animal could die. There could be death, mortality. There should be mortality whenever the rabbits are infected with this disease. Enteritis, gastroenteritis, is also a protozoa disease, and it's caused by feed change sometimes, stress, and also poison. Now, what are the symptoms? We have high temperature of the animal. The animal will be experiencing high temperature. There will also be diarrhea, which smells unpleasantly. The animal will also lose its appetite, and there will be watery feces. Let's look at some important points on the rabbit management. When it comes to rabbit management, these are certain things you need to observe. Now, the adult doe does not have any particular heat period, so the presence of the buck, which is the male, could stimulate the doe and it will come into heat. And heat is the period when the female doe becomes receptive to the male buck for mating. And we also need to know that the gestation period of the doe is about 31 days. And what is gestation? That's the period from conception to parturition, which is giving birth. So when you hear of gestation. It means the period of conception. That's when the animal becomes pregnant. Or fertilization takes place. Conception takes place till the pregnancy period, till the time the doe gives birth, which is parturition. That's called gestation period, and in rabbits takes about 31 days. And the doe can give birth to 4 to 8 liters, which are young ones in rabbits. Remember, group of young bunnies, which are baby rabbits, are called liters. So you can give about birth to about 4 to 8 liters at a time. And you should also note that rabbits should never be lifted by their ears or legs, as this could permanently get them injured. Now let's go to cattle. Remember, I told you we're going to discuss about rabbit, cattle, and goats. So now let's go into cattle. Now, cattle belongs to a group of animals called bovidae. They are ruminants, and they have hollow horns and hoofs. They are red for their meat, milk, hide, and skin, as well as manure. And they could also be used as drought animals, which are animals that could work on the farm. They could draw farm implements to carry out tillage activities on the farm, such as making of ridges on your farm to cultivate crops. Let's look at some terminology in cattle production or cattle husbandry. The bull is an adult male cattle, while the cow is an adult female cattle. So when you say herd of cattle, it's not proper to just address all of them as cows. In a herd of cattle, you should know that some of them are males and some are females. So the males are called the bulls, while the females are called the cows. The babies or the young ones are called the calf, while the heifer is a growing female up to her first calving. That's giving birth is the terminology of giving birth in cattle production is called calving. Now, the bull calf is a young male cattle. The heifer calf is a young female cattle. The steer is a castrated male cattle. The ox is a castrated adult male cattle. You know, you could castrate a young cattle and it will be referred to as a steer, but when it's an adult male cattle, it's referred to as an ox. The females can also be castrated, and they will be referred to as velar. And the act of mating in cattle is referred to as serving. While calving is the act of giving birth in cattle, which is also known as parturition. That's act of giving birth in all animals is known as parturition, but this terminology is specific to cattle and is referred to as calving. Beef is the meat of cattle, while dairy cattle are those cattle that are kept for milk production, while beef cattle are cattle that are kept for meat production. Herd is referred to as a group of cattle. So as I said earlier, you don't say a group of cows because most likely there will be a mix-up of male and female cattle. So you refer to as the bulls as the male cattle and the cows as the female cattle, while the group is referred to as a herd. Polled. Now, these are cattle without horns. You know, cattle do have horns, so when the horns are removed, they are referred to as polled. Then those with horns are referred to as horned cattle. Then we also have a hump, which is like a protrusion at the back of just close to the head of the cattle, the protrusion of and it's called a hump, while some are humpless. Some cattle lack humps, so they're referred to as humpless breeds. Now let's look at the breeds of cattle. We have 3 breeds. We have the classes of breeds of cattle, We have the beef cattle, the dairy cattle, and the dual purpose cattle. This is just based on what they are used primarily for or read primarily for. So the beef cattle, the dairy cattle, the dual purpose cattle. Now let's look at the beef cattle. Now these have the ability to produce meat, so they are reared mainly for meat, but they could also produce milk, but they are reared mainly for meat. Some of them are dual purpose, but let's just go on. We'll get to understand better. So we have the white Fulani, the Ndama breed, red Bororo, Sokoto Gudali, brown Swiss, Keteku, which is also known as Borgu, Kuri, Rahaji, Aberdeen, Angus, Hereford, Charolais, and Rahazi. These are breeds of cattle that have good meat quality, and they are usually reared for the purpose of meat. So they're referred to as beef cattle. We have, so we're going to actually just look at some description of these various, some of the breeds, not all, just some of the breeds of the beef cattle. Starting with Undama, you see it's humpless. Remember I told you some have humps, some are humpless. Now this is where I'm referring to where the hump is. So the Undama breed is a humpless breed and is popularly recognized as a resistant breed to trypanosomiasis, which is a disease caused by fly, and it's also referred to as sleeping sickness, and it's also still referred to as Nagana. And it's a good beef animal but poor milk producer, and it's also an early maturing animal. Red Bororo, which is also known as Rahaji, is dark red in color, and it's large with long horns, as you can see in the picture, and it produces plenty of meat, but the meat is of low quality, and they are also poor milkers. Sokoto Gudali, now this has a hump, as you can see. This is a hump breed, it's not a humpless breed. Sokoto Gudali has a hump, and it's a drought breed. That means it's good for working on the farm, and it's also common in the Fulani, Hausa Fulani areas. It also has a dewlap. This is the dewlap. Okay. Keteku, which is also referred to as Burgru, is a cross between the humped and humpless breeds of cattle of the south, and they're usually small in size. They're also suitable for beef purposes. Kuri is a humpless breed of cattle. It's usually white, light gray in color. Now the horns are bulbous, that means broad at the base and very large. They can be used for both dairy and meat production. So you can see this is good also for dairy, but it also falls under a breed of cattle that is good for beef. Now dairy cattle, let's look at some of dairy cattle. These are animals or cattle that are reared mainly to produce milk, and the examples of such breeds of cattle are the dairy shorthorn, Jersey, Red Pole, Kerry, Guernsey, Dexter, Holstein or Friesian, the Holstein Friesian breed, the Southern Devon, the Brown Swiss, the Ayrshire, and the White Fulani. Remember, White Fulani also appeared under the beef cattle, so it's also here again as a dairy cattle. Now let's go through this description of the characteristics or features of this dairy cattle. Well, starting with White Fulani, which is also known as Adamawa. It's typically a white and medium horned type of cattle. They are good milkers and also good work animals or drought animals. That means they could be used to draw farm implements. That's animal driven implements like the plow, and it also has a well developed back. The Jersey is another dairy breed cattle. Now it has a gray ring of hair behind the black muscle. This is the muscle. That's like the nose, the muscle, and see the ring that is here. And it's a good milk producer, but it's very temperamental than any other imported breed. You can see it seems aggressive. Now it's temperamental. Okay, we have the Red Pole. This is a humpless breed, as you can see. There's no hump. Now it's deep red in color with good eyes and other pigmentation, and it's naturally polled, so it's humpless and polled. That means it doesn't have horns. They're medium size with strong legs and good walking ability. Now both the cows and the bulls are very docile. That means they're very gentle and easy to handle. We have the Guernsey, which is another breed, dairy breed of cattle, and it varies from yellow to reddish brown with white patches. Yellow to reddish brown with white patches. It could weigh up to 450 to 500 kilograms, slightly more than the average weight of the Jersey cow, which is about 450 kilograms. And it has an attractive individuality, revealing ample vigor and masculinity, has smooth blending shoulders, showing good refinement, strength, and even contour. So that's just a description of how the Guanse breed of cattle looks like. The Dexter is another dairy breed. It's a small breed, and it's also a dual purpose breed. That means it can be used for not just dairy, it can also be used for meat, it can also be used. Okay, so that's basically what, when we refer to dual purpose, we'll get to understand better. That's another class. So it's a dual purpose breed with an average weight of about 300 to 350 kilograms, and the standing height, when standing, it has 92 centimeters to 100. That's the height of this breed is 92 centimeters to 107 centimeters at the shoulder. Okay, now it's an early maturing breed, and it has, the beef is of excellent quality and flavor. Okay, and it can be produced economically. So these are very good qualities of this breed of cattle. Holstein or Friesian breed of cattle, dairy cattle, is a very good dairy cattle from Holland. You can see that the udders are well developed. The udders, which is the mammary gland, is well developed, and the color is black and white. The males are also good for beef production. South Devon. Now, this has strong curly coat, which is usually light medium red in color, and it can also vary in shades, and it could appear mottled, that's marked with spots. If you can see somehow, look at the body of this cattle, and they are also pink around the eyes. If you look closely at the eyes, you can see somehow pink around the eyes, the nose, and the muzzle. Now, the South Devon female is an early maturing breed and can calve at 2 years of age. So it's known to be docile, and then the bulls have gotten the name Gentle Giant. So these are the description of the South Devon breed of cattle. Now let's take a look at the dual purpose. So that means they are capable of producing both milk and meat, as I said earlier. And these are the breeds: the Azawal, Muturu, Bill, Wadara, which is also known as Shua, Brown Swiss, White Fulani, Sokoto Gudali, and the Red Bororo. So we're going to look at some of these breeds. So we have the Muturu. The Muturu is a humpless breed. As you can see, it doesn't have a hump, with short horns. The horns are also short, and the milk production is very low, so it's not a common market breed. So, but it's tolerant to trypanosomiasis, which is a protozoa disease. Dual purpose, still on dual purpose, we have Biu, which is a cross between the hump and humpless breeds. They are low in milk production, but they yield meat. Okay, now let's look at the classification of some breeds of cattle based on humps. So for the humped cattle, we have Sokoto Gudali, the White Fulani, Red Bororo, which is also known as Rahaji. And for the humpless cattle, we have Muturu, Ndama, and Kuri. You could be asked in an examination to outline or give some examples of humped breeds of cattle. So remember, Sokoto Gudali, White Fulani, Red Bororo, which is also known as Rahaji. And the humpless breed, we have Muturu, Ndama, and Kuri. Okay, let's look at some exotic breeds of cattle. When we talk about exotic breeds, these are breeds that are not found in our locality, like in Africa or Nigeria. So let's look at some exotic breeds of cattle. We have the dairy, and still under dairy and beef cattle, we have the Holstein Friesian, the Ayrshire, the Brown Swiss, New Jersey, Red Dane. These are examples of exotic breeds of cattle that are not found in our region. They're found in the probably the temperate region, not in the tropical region, as Nigeria is one in the tropical region. We have the beef cattle now as another class, and we need to look at exotic breeds that are good for or red for their beef. We have the Hereford, the Aberdeen Angus, and the Red Devon. Now we're going to look at some economic importance of cattle. And here cattle help to provide us with meat and milk. That's to provide man with meat and milk. They can also be used to pull farm implements in the farm. So those are called animal drawn implements. They help to provide hides and skin, which can be processed into leather for our clothing, shoes, bags, hats. They also help to provide blood meal and bone meal for animal feed. You know, this help to supply nutrients, minerals and nutrients to our animal, and that's when we're processing animal feed. And this is very important in the diet of animals. Cattle dung is also a good source of manure. So the dung, which are the droppings or the feces gotten from cattle, can be a source of nutrients to plants. It can be used on the farm. The rearing of cattle can also be a means of employment and income to people, and it can also serve as a revenue to some countries. You know, some of these breeds of cattle can be exported to other nations, and they can also be used for religious purposes as well as festivals in some places. They can also be used for research work or educational purposes. Now let's look at some important points on cattle management. So while you're rearing your cattle, you need to take note of this. The bulls and the heifers should be at least 24 months old before they are bred. Of course, the bulls are the males, the heifers are the young females. Then the bull is brought to mate the cow when it's on heat. That's the period of receptivity. That's what heat is referred to as. And the gestation period in cattle is 283 days. And I explained earlier that gestation period has to do with the period of conception to parturition, that's delivery. And at about 8 weeks to parturition, the cow should be placed on a special diet. Now, this diet will enable all the organs of the cow to be set, which will enable it to produce milk. So it helps to set all her organs in good order for milk production after birth. And this process of placing the cow on a special diet is called steaming up. And this should be done 8 weeks to parturition. That's 8 weeks to the time it will give birth. You need to place the cow on a special diet. Now we're going into goats. So this is a hollow-horned small ruminant that belongs to the family Bovidae of the genus Capra. It's also red for meat, milk, hides, and skin. And the skin is referred to as Morocco leather. That's for a particular breed called Sokoto Red. The leather got it from it, or the skin got it from it, is referred to as Morocco leather when processed. Now, goat milk is the richest of all the milks produced by farm animals. I'm sure we will be surprised to hear this, but this is a fact that the goat milk is richer than cow milk. So it's the richest milk of all milk produced by animals. Now, let's take a look at some terminologies on goats. The adult male goat is referred to as buck or billy. The female goat is referred to as a doe or nanny. The kid is referred to as, the young ones or the babies are referred to as kids. Then a castrated male goat is referred to as a wether, while the act of giving birth in goats is kidding. Now, take note of this. In goats is kidding, K-I-D-D-I-N-G, while in rabbits is kindling, K-I-N-D-L-I-N-G. So that's the difference. Now, for the meat of goat is referred to as shivan. Let's look at some breeds of goats. We start with Sokoto Red, which is a medium-sized breed of goat found in Niger Republic and Sokoto State. Okay, and the skin of this breed of goat is much sought after by for the production of its leather. Okay. Borno red is found around Borno State from the name you can see, and it has a coarse skin and is also a good meat producer. West African dwarf goat is a small-sized breed of goat, has short legs, comparatively smaller than the body size. Okay, comparatively smaller body size, so it has a short leg with comparatively small body size, and the mature male possesses beards, as you can see. Angora. So we have a breed of goat called Angora, just as we have a breed of rabbit called Angora. Now, this breed of goat originated from Central Asia, and it can thrive well in hot, dry, subtropical regions of the world, and is bred mainly for the hair, which is referred to as mohair. Saanen is a breed of goat that originated from Switzerland and is generally polled. That means it lacks horns, has a short coat and erect ears, as you can see, and it's a heavy milk producer. Anglo-Nubian is a breed of goat from India and Egypt. It's also generally polled. That means it has no horns, also has long legs, and it's a dual purpose type, so it's kept for both milk and meats. Toggenburg is a breed of goat that originated from Swiss Valley of Toggenburg. The neck is long, thin, and erect. It is polled, and it has long hair. No, it's not polled. It has horns, so its neck is long, thin, and erect. It is polled and has long hairs, and the breed is a moderate milker of long lactation period. These are some other breeds, the West African long-legged goats. So that's how this breed looks. We have the Anglo-Nubian, we have the Kano Brown or Sokoto Red, which is also referred to as Maradi. We have the Toggenburg. This is just some pictures showing some breeds of other breeds. The Boer is another breed of goat. The Black Bengal, Alpine. Okay, let's take a look at some important points on goat management. The buck and the doe should be 12 months of age at least before they are used for breeding, and the gestation period of the doe is 145 to 150 days. And signs of approaching parturition, there will be signs of mucus discharge from the vulva, that's in the females. There will also be undue noise making from the females. There will also be frequent urination and restlessness that will be seen in the female. Now, we should also know that the first milk being produced by a lactating animal is referred to as colostrum, and this helps to provide immunity against diseases in the baby animal. It's also rich in protein, vitamins, and minerals. Now, in order to prevent parasitic infestation, we need to observe as a farmer good sanitary conditions, and there could be regular dipping of the animals to eradicate ectoparasites. Also, deworming should take place in order to control endoparasites, and you could use drugs like lead arsenate or penatrazine. You could also, with the aid of a drenching gun, to help administer this dewormer into the oral cavity of the animals, and this will help to control endoparasites like acaricides and tapeworm. Okay, we've come to the end, but let's just have a recap on what we've learned. We discussed the management of rabbit, cattle, and goat. We looked at their housing, we looked at the terminologies, we looked at the breeds, the various breeds. We described the various breeds of these various animals, as the cattle, the rabbit, the goat. We also looked at some diseases that they could be infected with. And we also looked at the economic importance of cattle, which could be a good source of manure, source of employment. It could be drought animal, source of meat. We also looked at the gestation period of rabbit, cattle, and goats. So let's just also go through some questions in order to test our level of understanding of what we've learned. Okay, meat obtained from cattle of less than 1 year old is called, we have beef, chevron, veal, pork. The beef is meat obtained from cattle but of an adult cattle. Chevron is the meat of goat. pork is the meat of pigs. So the answer here is veal, which is the meat got it from of cattle that is less than 1 year old. Now, which of the following factors should be considered when building a rabbit hutch? Now, this has to do with maintenance and some management tips in the course of rearing rabbits. The first point here, option they said, is safety and comfort of rabbits. 2, ease of maintenance and cleaning. And 3, day length. So we need to understand that safety and comfort is important, ease of maintenance and cleaning is important. But day length is not a criteria or a factor to be considered when building rabbit hutches, because day length does not affect ovulation, just as in poultry, where lighting does affect ovulation and shell development, yolk formation. So, but for rabbit, this does not have anything to come into consideration when building a rabbit hutch. So the options here are safety and comfort of rabbits, ease of maintenance and cleaning. So the answer will be A. So Ndama cattle are well adapted to West Africa, mainly because the breed A can withstand a long period of drought, B is resistant to trypanosomiasis, C can feed well on poor quality forages, and D can withstand high humidity. In the course of teaching, we mentioned that Ndama is a breed that is resistant to trypanosomiasis. So this is the correct option, resistant to trypanosomiasis. Thank you so much for your time.